Yeah, and kind of, going off that, like, context is super important with the wins, I think, and I think it's important to know that he can win when he does play. But if you look at that, even go back to that 2019 season, I brought this up in, other people's streams, and I bring it up, a pretty decent amount. Looking at the context of the first 8 games of that 2019 season, the quarterbacks that he had to go up against were Jameis Winston, Andy Dalton, Baker Mayfield, Mason Rudolph, Jared Goff, Case Keenum, Kyle Allen, and Kyler Murray on a short week, right? And with that defense and with those guys, honestly, being frank here, it's kind of hard to lose those games if you just, play, average to a little bit above average, right? And, but at the time, they still got out and you still win those games, which Garoppolo has done. But I think the main thing that, I don't want the 49ers to get into this season is what the Miami Dolphins saw last year with Ryan Fitzpatrick and Tua Tagovailoa. I thought that situation was just not – it didn't look organized. Yeah, it didn't look very organized because the game – okay, Fitzpatrick started, then you bring in Tua, then you start Tua, then you take Tua halfway out the game, then you start Tua the next game, and it's just a carousel. And they still finished, 10-6?
Yeah.
Right? And with not that good – with honestly not as good of an offense as the 49ers, right? So having that continuity is super important. And, there is a scenario where Trey Lance is ready by week 1 and it doesn't feel like he's rushed. But if he's not ready and he's not prepared for week 1, then I don't think you can throw him into that situation. But if you make that – when you make that switch, though, I think they should do like what the Niners did in 2012 with Kaepernick and Alex Smith. And when you make that switch, you got to just keep it. And the timing of that is going to be super important.
I agree with the timing thing specifically. To me, I would even go further as to say the second Trey Lance is the starter, I think Jimmy Garoppolo can't be on this team. And to me, it's more a function of if you look at the emotion of the locker room, the guys who – there are a lot of guys who believe in Jimmy Garoppolo. And if you start Trey Lance and he isn't 100% great at first, he's not balling out like we thought he would, and then you have Jimmy Garoppolo sitting there on the bench, then you start getting in a Miami Dolphins situation where the team is questioning who the starter is, like you were talking about. There's confusion among not only the fan base, but the coaching staff and the players, and that's where – I think things can get really toxic for your locker room specifically. So to me, I agree with you in the idea that once they make the move to Trey Lance, it needs to be a clean break. They can't muddy up the waters and it can't be a teeter-totter thing, right? They kind of just have to fully buy into the Trey Lance experience once they do.